can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch. Oh yeah, so easily
We
affected.
have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove.
Your most successful week where you gained the most equity and gained the most on the field was the 1 week you didn't take the chalk.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu, the show with two hosts that will likely never be the last men standing. Not our vibe. If there are likely 10 men left standing, I'm talking about like in the world and life, we'd probably be like, well, that was pretty good. Want to go gamble?
Absolutely.
Just, we'll never be the last man standing.
Okay.
Hey, before we kick things off, do us a favor and head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button for us. On your favorite podcast platform, give us a follow and rate us 5 stars. We can be found on both Twitter and Instagram at Good JuJu Bets. And if you really like us, then head on over to goodjujubets.net, click on the merch shop and show your support. No money? Then click on Submit an Idea tab and let us know your thoughts. We love hearing from our listeners.
Yeah, we got a support
That's
button for any
That's a tease.
any budget. Oh, nice tease. Yeah.
Juice, we have a listener question today, right?
I think we do.
Why don't you go ahead and read it for the audience?
All right. This comes from John. Thank you, fellas. You are filling the gap in my life and my soul since Gambling with an Edge ended their regular programming. Pretty neat, right?
Yeah.
Good start.
Appreciate you.
Fun note, I was the last question on their last regular show asking to explain the math behind my degen buddy's worst decision possible with free bets. Half black, half red. It hit green.
Oh, no.
I knew they previously said that's the worst thing you could do, but couldn't explain why. All right, so anyway, John gets into a couple questions for us. One, what blackjack perfect strategy app do you use that you mentioned recently? 2, you mentioned that it's quite easy to make some money but then get backed off on the Pick'em app, such as Better Underdog. Do you have any resources or guidance as to how to make that happen? And do you have a Patreon, or what's the best way to support? Thank y'all, John. Thank you, John, for writing us. That was awesome.
That's awesome. Let me cover off on a few of these for us here real quick. So I can handle 1, 3, and 4. The blackjack trainer that I've been using is blackjack trainer, all in one. It's the important part is because there's 100 blackjack trainers and they're all just called blackjack trainer. It's Blue Wind Studios. So if you look up the blackjack trainer by Blue Wind Studio, use that. Ever since then, I've been battling much better in the casino. So I think that probably provides enough information for you. If you have any follow-up questions, hit us up. We do not have a Patreon, okay? And I'll tell you why. First of all, it is a little, because we've discussed this, haven't we?
We have. Indeed.
We have discussed this. We lack confidence, I think is one way of putting it. And I don't know, maybe a little bit of work ethic in there as well. We probably, in my opinion, have the content now to make a Patreon worthwhile with the various tips and tricks that we've picked up along the way that we know we shouldn't share in a public forum, such as our podcast. But it would take some work to make a Patreon valuable enough to ask money for folks for it. So until I decide to treat this like a real job, the best way to support the show is by buying a little merch and wearing it out in the wild.
Yeah, send us a pic, John.
That's all we ask. And you get clothing and we get the ego boost, basically. And thank you, John. Thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to write us. So let's get into the kind of the meat and potatoes of that question, right?
Okay.
That is the Pick'em apps. As far as me, I've burned through my PrizePicks account. And I honestly did that by joining the Juice Bets Discord.
Yeah, shout out Juice Bets.
The reason I joined their Discord, and I know there's a lot of content we just had on Be Better to talk about whether any Discords are actually worth it or not. We do trust our buddy, the Degen Boost. He puts out great information and promo plays, and he was the promo guy for that Discord.
Right.
So we said, let's give it a shot. Once we joined the PrizePicks Discord, the thing that we found the most valuable was their attacks on the DFS platforms. And I was probably able to suck out, it depended. Kurt sucked out a lot more money than I did before I got booted, but we're talking about nice 4-figure paydays.
Fun while it lasted. Yeah,
Fun
for
while
sure.
it lasted. And then as far as, resources and whether or not, like, that's one way I've attacked it, but I know that you're currently betting in the DFS sites as well, not relying on others for plays. What have you been doing?
So basically, I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of them and they need your business. So there's a plethora of deposit bonuses and even daily promo offers on these, kind of like back in the heyday of the sports betting ecosystem. And so if you have some sports betting skills, like, they're definitely transferable, but don't get it twisted. They're not sports books. So some stuff is also funny. So just buyer beware there a little bit. Make sure you are, understanding the platform, the pay tables, the rules, the promo schedule, etc.
Are you finding you've been able to maintain accounts on these other sites? We lost our PrizePicks account.
Yeah, I mean, they come and they go. But like I said, there's so many of them that once you leave, they're like super excited to get you back. And then you get a deposit bonus and like the cycle continues.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Tony, do you hammer these pick'em sites as part of your gambling portfolio?
Not on a regular basis. If I'm in a certain state where it's a little bit more available to me, I'll do it. I'm in Nevada right now, so when I'm in Arizona, I'll hit up like Underdog and stuff like that. I do like the Outlier app. Are you guys familiar with that one?
Outlier. No. Yeah. Tell us more.
Outlier. Yeah. That's a good one. They've got good plus EV plays on there. And, you just like a lot of the other apps I'm sure you guys are familiar with, you can customize which books and DFS sites are in your area, check the boxes. And it's customized for you. You just get the ones that are available to you. So, yeah, it's a pretty good one. They've got ARB plays on there, too, and plus EV plays. So Outlier is pretty solid.
Yeah, fantastic. Shout out Outlier.
That's
we'll check it
info.
out. Yeah.
Like I always say, you've just given us what we need for the episode. At least one good piece of information every episode.
I'm out. My work's done here. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Thank you, John. All right.
Let's introduce
Let's intro
thank
this
you,
guy.
John.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Let's introduce our guest here for the audience. On today's episode, we need to get better. This episode is for the four of us in the Good JuJu Bets Circa Survivor crew. Jay and Kurt, hope you're listening to this one. We brought on one of the hosts of the Last Men Standing podcast to discuss this year's contest. Tony is a 3-time top 40 finisher in Circa Survivor. He hosts The Huddle, in addition to Last Men Standing, a weekly show covering sports betting. But for today, our focus is all in on his show, Last Men Standing. So let's break down for us his thoughts on our entry, as well as an overall discussion on NFL Survivor. Welcome in, Tony.
Thanks for having me, fellas. I'm excited for the conversation.
We are thrilled to have you on. We just discovered you a couple months ago, and we're big fans of what you're doing with your podcast. First off, how many entries did you have this year in Circa Survivor, and how many do you have today?
So I started with 10 in my name. My girlfriend has 10 as well. She's not a big football fan, but she's out, and I've got 2 left in my name. I have some partner entries as well, but 2 left in my entry name. And if anybody wants to look it up, it's DD3's Revenge is the name of it.
DD3's Revenge. Okay.
I'll
We're
check
going to
it
be
out.
now, Tony, every year we interviewed a couple guys last year. You got 2 entries left this year. You're going to be our squad ride. We are going to be checking in on Tony's plays each week.
DD3's
Love it.
Revenge.
We're going to be real disappointed if you don't make it past Thanksgiving. I'm just saying.
Love it. The expectations, guys. I got some expectations now. All right. My palms are starting to sweat a little bit.
All right. As I mentioned, you finished top 43 times. Before we talk more about our entry with you, can you share some insight on tactical errors you feel people make that prevent them from going all the way, like in general? What are some of the common mistakes you see made in Survivor?
I think in Circa Survivor, not planning for the holidays is like the most obvious thing that comes to mind. I mean, you can look up entries now on Survivor Atlas, and there's people who clearly don't know the rules because they've already burned through. And I'm talking like probably less than 1% of the people, but they're out there. So that's important. I think another mistake is like not being flexible. Like there's a lot of people out there who have these like hardcore rules, like I will not take a road team, or I will not take a Thursday night game or an international game because of the travel. I will not take a divisional traditional team, that sort of thing. And I think those are good, like sort of guideposts. But I think when you get too rigid and too strict with things like that, you can kind of have blind spots. Like it's tough enough to make it all the way to the end with every game available. Then when you start taking out some options like that, every road game, etc., I think it becomes a little bit tougher. And then the last thing I'd say is I think a lot of people are afraid to take chances, especially early on in the contest. And I like to remind people, like, you're probably at some point in this contest, if you go all the way, you're going to need to sweat out a game that you hate. It feels like a coin flip. Would you rather have that coin flip be like week 2 when your entry's worth $1,000? Or would you rather have it be, week 12 when your entry's worth 14 grand or whatever? You know what I'm saying? So not being afraid to take chances early on, I think is important to keep in mind too.
I'm seeing problems already, Tony. For one, we've never had the issue. God, what a great issue it would be to have to worry about the holidays.
Right. Yeah. Right.
It's such a common mistake that people are prepared for the holidays. But holy smokes, what if we made the holidays one year?
Right.
The other thing is, Tony has 20 entries. We have one every year, Tony.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead a little in the agenda here for this next question. Do you think having one entry in Circa Survivor is the equivalent of just donating to the pot? Do you see a single shooter surviving?
It's a good question. So there was a single shooter champion in 2022. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not. He had one entry, and it was the year that only 2 people won. So he did pretty well.
Wow.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong. To my knowledge, it hasn't happened since then. Now, the pool was a little smaller at that point as well. Browno was the entry name, by the way, if you want to look it up. Brown A, all one word. And so that gives me hope that it can be done. I'll also say we had a guy on Last Men Standing. He goes by House. His entry name is Big House.
Yeah, we had him on last year.
Oh, did you? Okay, sweet. So I don't know if you heard his story or not, but he started with 10.
Yeah.
By week 3, he was down to 2.
Yeah.
And one of his entries made it all the way to the last week. So that's not quite the same thing as starting with 1, but you go on a run like that, you see it's possible. But the big disadvantage to having 1 that a lot of people don't really talk about, there's the obvious disadvantage, right? You got more bullets, right? But I think a lot of these bigger groups that have 10, 20, 30, 40 entries where they're all collaborating and working together, they can really hone in on specific percentages, right? So let's say, for instance, the projections come out and say 19% of people are going to be on the Falcons, for instance. And strategically, you want to put 12% of your entries on the Falcons because you figure that's the best idea. Well, if you've got 2 entries, you can't put 12%. You either have to put 0, 50, or 100, right? But the people with larger amounts can really dial it in and calibrate it and put specific percentages where they want it. But I'll also say, at the risk of being long-winded here, there's also a little bit of an advantage to having 1 entry too. It's a lot simpler. You can focus on it. When you have multiple entries, like, it's hard. I mean, I could talk to you guys for an hour about having multiple entries and what a mess it is for your brain. And a lot of people with multiple entries, they just start blowing them. You know what I'm saying? Like the Packers go down, and that's like your 3rd optimal choice last week. But if you got 20 entries, you're probably going to throw a couple on the Packers. So, you know what I'm saying? So there are some advantages to having 1 entry too. I want to make sure and get that in there.
You know what it reminds me of? Back in the DFS days.
Oh, yeah, Millionaire
Fantasy.
Makers.
We'd play in these DFS contests and spend all day working on one sweet lineup for the DFS contest. And I knew you never had a choice until we discovered roto grinders and their tools to build 150 lineups. And you realize, the people who are building 150 lineups are playing an entirely different game than you are playing with your one lineup.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like this is that scenario when you have 18,000 entries and enough people are stacking up their entries in the way that they are, that to have that single shooter, it's fun and it's a dream and it's a lottery ticket we're buying each year, but it feels a lot more like a lottery ticket to me than it does a true competition for that very reason.
I think that's fair. And, the poker community's really bought into Circa Survivor too. So a lot of them have big groups of people that you're competing with. But when you compare it to the lottery, I like that explanation. I'd rather have one ticket in Circa Survivor than literally a lottery ticket, right? I feel a lot more confident about getting to the end. And now with like the marketplace where you can sell pieces of your entry, now you don't even have to make it to the end in order to get equity out of your original position. So I love this contest, man. I'm very passionate about it. Greatest contest in the world. Love it.
Okay, so I want to key off something you just said because I didn't, I've heard about the marketplace and selling part of your entry, and you guys mentioned that on one of your most recent episodes. And it seems like, okay, the entries right now are worth $10,000 or so, right? And it's like $150 for a percentage of somebody's entry, basically. I think there's probably some variance based on what teams are left, right?
Right.
But I guess my question to you, Tony, like you made it so far a couple of times. At what point do you decide to sell a part or hedge out or let it ride?
Yeah, it's a really good question. There's not one answer like, always by week 12 or when there's 10% of the pool left or anything like that. Because I'm constantly monitoring that marketplace to see where the values are at. Because something fascinating happens every year. As you mentioned, right now, it is very much a seller's market. These things are going for more than they're worth. But at some point, it starts to flip. And it becomes a buyer's market. And they actually start selling for more money, but way less than they're worth, because not everybody has $100,000 to put down on an entry, So I think you can kind of try to find that sweet spot. Just to give you an example, last year, I had a partner entry that was alive that, by the way, made it to the second to last week of the season. We can talk about that. And my last entry in my name, I sold for $30,000. It was week 5 or 6. Remember all that carnage last year? Like 90-something% of the field was gone. And the entry was worth 20 and I sold it for 30. And it was my last one. It was a hard decision, getting back to your original question, but knowing that I had that partner entry that we felt good about made me say, okay, I can do this. And I sold 90% of it for 30 grand.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but it's a game changer because, people, I don't know if you guys realize this, people are selling entries before the contest begins. Because hey, I can't get to Vegas. I don't want my girlfriend to know that I'm in this contest. So I'll just buy $1,000 entry for $1,300. I'm happy. Yeah. The seller's happy because they made a couple bucks too. So it's a game changer. And I think it also encourages people to buy more entries, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're like, I'm probably not going to win this thing. I don't have the confidence. I can't make it to the end. But I can make it till week 8 and sell one. You know what I mean? I can sell half and get to week 7. It makes it a little more realistic for people to get more money out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So if we bought 10 entries and we sold them each for $100 profit, that's an easy grand. And then we don't.
That's a free entry. That's a free entry for next year.
And then we don't lose. Like we do every other year.
Right, we free roll the next year. I love it.
That's the EV play. That reminds me of the gold. I love the gold rush analogy. The people making money are the people selling the tins.
Right.
Not the people actually mining for the gold.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So we buy the entries and then we sell them to the people who can't fly out to Vegas.
So we just got to go out there and we each get 10 entries.
Dude, we each get $1,000.
Yeah, right.
Because we have to pay $1,200 for the proxy.
Yeah. Well, how does that work? Yeah, we'll figure that out by next year.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me ask this question then, Tony. Do you lean into any particular pillar of strategy? Like I'm thinking things like saving teams versus fading the crowd versus maximizing your weekly win equity. Is there a differentiating pillar we can use as a foundation for our strategy next year that you believe in?
Yeah, I think it's important to look at EV every week and what makes sense. And there's lots of websites out there that'll help you calculate the EV, which is basically your win probability and the expected number of people that are going to be on the pick every week. It's not a situation though where it's like, oh, this is the EV play. This is who I'm going with. As we saw last week with the Packers, they were the best EV play in survivor pools and they went down. So like keeping that in mind as a data point, I think is a good idea. And then the other thing is I like to build my path at the beginning of the season. I like to build several paths and I like to start with the toughest week. I've heard people say start with the end, start with the beginning. I like to figure out what's the week that looks the gnarliest, that has the least amount of big favorites. Start there and then sort of build my path out from there. And then look at your path as often as possible. Like Joe Burrow gets hurt this year, right? Immediately, what are the survivor implications? Well, now all of a sudden, Baltimore looks a little better on Thanksgiving. maybe I can't use Cincinnati when I thought I could, but hey, week 17, they've got a nice matchup in the cold weather against the Cardinals. Cardinals coming to the cold weather, maybe a snowy game. I'm going to move Cincinnati because Joe Burrow just got hurt. Trade deadline, right? Just happened. What are the implications there? You re-look at that grid with a whole new perspective. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. Like you see it completely differently, especially early on in the season when you're like, are the Giants good? I don't think so. Like all of a sudden when you're like, okay, the Giants are shit. I figured, okay, now I see the grid differently. The Colts, at some point in everybody's brain this season, I think we had to be like, okay, I think the Colts are actually for real. They're actually a good team. I didn't think so at first. I was skeptical. Well, okay, what's my survivor grid look like now that the Colts are a good team? You know, I think revisiting it as often as possible, I think is important. And the last thing, I try to identify like landmines as early as possible. Like what are games that are going to look good to other people that I want no part of? You know, we had on our podcast, we had Grant Cohn on earlier this year with the 49er beat writer. We had Ken Rutgers on, former Packer player. And whenever someone like that comes on that has like some good institutional knowledge of a particular team, I like to ask like, hey, what are the games that you think this team could lose that a lot of people think they're going to win? You know, and then maybe step away from that game and let other people take the bait, take the chalk that week while you skate by, you know?
I feel like up to this point, so we've done it 3 years now, Tony, and it feels like every year we go out on a not good team in what seems like a good spot for them, right? As opposed to going out with one of the best teams in the league choking in a particular game. So like, for instance, in week 8 of this year, it felt like we were facing that situation. Bad teams were among the most popular picks in the Falcons and the Bengals. I mean, call bad, good, whatever. Not one of the really good teams in the NFL, right?
Yep.
In these situations, do you lean into the teams with more question marks, but in the favorable situation? Or is that a week where you consider maybe someone who's a little lower own percentage, but maybe actually a substantially better team? Like I'm thinking in week 8 of like the Eagles were playing the Giants that week.
Yep.
And that's a situation where they were not nearly as popular of a team, but I'm pretty sure the Eagles are better than the Falcons and the Bengals. And I just wonder if those are the weeks where we should look to pivot. But you got to take 20 teams. I don't know, Tony, what do you think?
Yeah.
I'm going to start trying to answer this myself.
I think you're going to hate my answer, to be honest, because I think everybody wants like the magic pill. It's like weight loss. Everybody wants like, oh yeah, just take this pill and then you'll lose weight, you know? It's sort of a similar thing with Survivor. It's like, I can't give you like one prescription and say, when you're in this situation, every time do this, because it's really so situational. Like using a week like this, week 10 that we're looking at right now, I think the Panthers kind of fit that description that you're describing, right? Like they're sort of a middling team. They're not elite. They have no future value. So that's the benefit to using them, right? I'd imagine that's why the Falcons appealed to you in week 8, because it's like, well, it's now or never with the Falcons. We got to use 20 teams, you know? I think the Panthers kind of fit that mold right now. And it's like, well, they're also projected to be like 25% owned. You kind of take that into consideration too, because I try not to be on the teams that are owned by a whole bunch of people, too often at least. And so you just kind of take it all into consideration, the different data points, and kind of make the decision from there, you know?
Got it. Then that's that. Tony, that's kind of what I expected you to say. It's you can't just say that like in every situation, no, we're going to fade the bad team and take the good team.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough good teams in the NFL. You got to find those spots somewhere. And to be clear, we were happy that we made it to week 8, and we were happy with our single shooter entry that, we weren't really questioning why we went out. Yeah. And we're a team of 4. And each year, a different person is responsible for our pick. So we let one person do the research, go into it, figure it out, and see how far they can make it each year. We were not the pickers each of these years. So keep that in mind as I go through who we picked here. But I want to share with you who we picked each week. And I think it's really funny because you said you try not to be on the highest owned teams each week. So here, Tony.
Spoiler alert.
are our picks each week, and I'm including the ownership percentage for you as well. In week 1, we took the Broncos. They were 38% owned and the most popular team. In week 2, we took the Arizona Cardinals. They were 29% owned and the most popular team. In week 3, we took the Seahawks. They were 39% owned and the most popular team. In week 4, we took the Bills. They were 30% owned and the most popular team. Now you think we're just going to do this the whole time. Incorrect. In week 5, we took the Colts. They were 19% owned. They were the 3rd most popular team. The 2nd most popular team was the Cardinals, who we had already taken. And the 1st most popular team was playing the 49ers, who just happens to be our picker this year's favorite football team. So we have our suspicions on why he didn't take the Rams, which was incredibly lucky because that was the week where the most popular pick went out.
Nice work.
The Rams tied, I believe, is what happened with the 49ers in that game. And as a result, we survived through week 5, despite the fact that that was the first week we did not take the most popular team. Okay, getting back to what we know, week 6, we took the Packers. They were 54% owned and the 1st most popular team. Week 7, we took the Chiefs. They were 29% owned and just barely over the Patriots, I might add, the most popular team. And in week 8, we took the Falcons. They were 33% owned. They were the 2nd most popular team, but as we know, the Colts were the most popular team and they had already been taken.
And they were second by like a half a percentage.
So, Tony, are you getting a feel for what our strategy was?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have a question for you guys just to make sure I'm clear.
Yeah.
So it was a different person on your team responsible each week. So as I'm criticizing and grading this list, I'm actually criticizing a specific person, or is this a group consensus?
You're criticizing one individual.
Neither of us.
One who is not us. And don't worry, we've criticized them plenty. It's fine.
Okay, I love this.
We're going to let you know 2 things about this before you criticize this. One, he got us further than we've ever gotten before. So
without a doubt,
I'm full of gratitude. But also mercilessly mocked him for his process every single week of the competition. What do you think of the process that we took this year?
All right, let's go in order. Let's start with week 1. I actually like the Broncos pick a lot. I had a couple on the Broncos. Okay, rookie quarterback that week on the road making his first start. I love it. You knew it was going to be the chalk play, but week 1, just try to survive. Right, it's important. Week 2, love the Cardinals pick. I think you're good so far too. Good rationale for that because Cardinals, especially at the time, not a lot of future value moving forward. So like that as well. The Seahawks pick is interesting because like they're good now, but at the time, similar thinking. Like they were a team like the Cardinals, like probably aren't going to win more than 8 or 9 games. So I don't mind burning them right there. I think week 4 is probably, in my opinion, the biggest misstep.
Yeah,
I think because. And you guys didn't make it to week 10, so you didn't have to worry about this. But right now in Circa Survivor, people that don't have the Broncos and Bills in week 10, I think are in trouble. And if they don't have the Broncos, Bills in Seattle, there's a lot of them, talking a couple hundred people, they're in trouble. So I think once you got to week 4, that ability to look ahead and be like, all right, if we take the Bills here, what are we going to do in week 10? So that would be my question for the picker. Like, what was your plan for week 10 after you burned the Bills? And maybe I'm forgetting something. Maybe they had a good plan and a quarterback got hurt and it just doesn't look good now. But
maybe
it seems like you might have been boxing yourself into a corner by taking the Bills there. And it's like, okay, or go ahead and take the Bills week 4 if you really like that. But then you got to take somebody else week 1 so that you've got one of those 2 big pieces of firepower for week 10. And then moving along, obviously can't criticize the Colts pick. What I want to point out, though, do you see how your best week was the week you were off the chalk?
Yes.
Your most successful week where you gained the most equity and gained the most on the field was the everybody got knocked out. You didn't take the chalk. 1 week where you didn't take the chalk. And I think there's a nice lesson in that for sure, because it's like taking, minus 1,000 favorites, college basketball favorite. Like, go ahead and do it. You can get by. you'll win tonight, you'll win tomorrow, but at some point you keep doing it and there's going to be an upset and you're going to lose your shirt,
Yep.
So it's kind of how I look at taking these chalky picks in Survivor. They're okay every once in a while, but it's like junk food. You know what I mean? You can do it every once in a while, but you live off a diet of chalk picks in Survivor, it's going to catch up to you.
The Colts one is the one that kind of, in retrospect, bothered me because not in a real way, like nothing really bothered me, but the one that I was like, oh man, they were better than I thought. And like all the weeks that we did take the most popular team, in week 8 when we lost, we couldn't take the most popular team because we had already blown through them. Mm-hmm. And though that's the week where it makes it through and both the second and third most popular picks lose.
Sure.
So
luck of the draw on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
Interesting.
All right. So
it's nice to be off the chalk. I mean, like that week when you took the Colts, didn't it feel good when the selection count came out and you're like, oh, if the Rams go down, even if you didn't think they would, it's like, wow, a big chunk of the field will get knocked out.
Yes.
If that happens. That's why I love being on those lower ranked teams. And then you can just root for carnage and root for dastardly things,
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that the zigging when zagging makes the Sunday a little bit more fun when we're cheering against, one team that's 33% owned instead of 5 different teams that are 10% owned,
Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
all right.
So we were fine with the Colts, and then week 6 we went through the Packers, Chiefs. Anything on week 6 or 7 that stands out to you?
I don't mind the Chiefs play. Of course, holiday team for them, right?
Yeah.
2-time holiday team. But you guys weren't really burning any other holiday teams. I mean, you still got the Commanders available. You still saved the Lions.
Yeah.
Kudos to your picker for saving the Lions. Like,
Yes.
in my Circa Survivor entries that are still alive, that's like my one big regret is that I don't have the Lions because I was saving them. And then when the week 5 carnage happened with the Cardinals, that just so happened to take out all my entries that I had the Lions available. So I'm like, JuJu, I don't have the Lions anymore.
Right.
So if this entry was still alive, like if you had gotten by with the Falcons, like it's a good looking entry. It's not like this was haphazard or someone wasn't planning ahead. So yeah, kudos to this person. It's a nice little run for sure.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well done.
That's good information. That's good. You did not spend too much time critiquing whether or not it's fair that we were so heavy on the bandwagon of the favorites.
Yeah, I don't like to see that. I think it's a little heavier than I would like, for sure. I'd like to see you. If I was your coach here, I'd like to see you off the chalk a little bit more often, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
All right.
You
But
got
still,
that, Jay, next year.
I think what he's saying aligns very well with our sentimentality on it. You did great. It's a nice entry. It made it far. We didn't burn through too many teams. He was considering both Thanksgiving and Christmas quite a lot in this process. He did know what he was doing there.
Yeah.
Here's the funny thing, Tony. Survivor Atlas would come out with projections every Tuesday as far as who the most popular picks in their opinion were going to be. We would talk about that in our group text thread as he would make picks. Every week here you see where he took a team and Survivor Atlas projected a different team for the most popular pick. Our picker was actually correct on what the most popular pick was going to be. So like Circa Survivor would say that the Patriots were going to be the most popular pick one week. And then Kirk comes in and he picks the Chiefs. And I know immediately, no, the Chiefs are going to be the most popular team this week. It will not be the Patriots.
Well done, Curtis.
He needs a podcast just to like go through his process so everyone knows who the most popular team will be every week. Not so that they know how to strategize because all we do is take the most popular team, but just so that they know what it'll be. Okay. All right.
Reel this back in.
Well,
I love it.
We answered the other question. We answered your next question. So is there anything in general that makes you move away like from the most popular teams? Are there any like particular characteristics or anything you see when you're like looking at it and you're like, I know this team's going to be popular. What is it that would make you more inclined to go, yeah, I'm going to ride with the chalk this week versus no, I don't want to do that?
Yeah, certainly. One thing that I pay attention to that I think a lot of people in the space don't necessarily pay attention to as much, like familiarity, not necessarily divisional familiarity, but if there's like a coach from another team that's their defensive coordinator and he was that team's head coach the year before and stuff like that, that means something for me. Like that makes me feel a lot less comfortable taking a game because That guy, especially like a head coach coordinator situation, that coach knows that team. He knows what the quarterback's comfortable doing.
Yeah.
He knows what the offensive lineman's weaknesses are, that the left tackle is really susceptible to a bull rush and things like that. So that type of familiarity really stands out for me, for sure.
Interesting.
That's actually a good one.
Yeah.
I've been harping on the quality of the coaches.
Yeah.
Because that's my thing in college basketball too. I always like to talk about that. Was the thing that bugged me about this week was Raheem Morris for the Falcons going up against, I always say his name, Mike McDonald, or is that the guy in Seattle? The Dolphins head
Mike
coach.
McDonald is Seattle. Mike McDaniel's
Mike
Miami.
McDaniel. Mike
Yeah.
McDaniel in Miami. I know he looks
Yeah.
like a total cokehead these days, but that guy is still a smart football coach in my opinion.
Okay.
So it made me a little nervous.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into some fun stuff now to wrap things up. How many entries are you guessing survived this year?
Oh man, this really is just a guess because this
Yeah.
isn't my area of expertise, but I'd set the over under at like 10.5.
10 and
It's
a half.
really going to come down to like the holidays because I
Okay.
think there's going to be a ton of people on Philly on Thanksgiving. It's going to be a ton of people on like Washington and Dallas on Thanksgiving because people are burning through Detroit. I think people will have burned through Kansas City by the time they get to Christmas because they play the Titans the week before Christmas. So yeah, if a couple go down on those holidays, it may be less than that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if holidays are chalky, maybe like I don't know, 2025 wouldn't shock me if we had some chalkier holidays.
All right. As we prepare for next season, what are the key factors we should consider here? Is it more entries? Is it tools we haven't previously considered? A different mindset from what we've been doing before? Any thoughts for us in terms of what's one shift we can make between this year and next year to have a better experience?
More entries is a great place to start, but kind of beyond that, like, I don't know if you guys have considered like crowdsourcing. Like, hey, you got a friend that wants to donate 500, another friend donates 2,000, and now he's got 20% ownership of it. It's just a way to get more entries. And then swaps as well. So let's say I've got 10 entries and you guys have 10 entries. We could connect at the beginning of the year. This isn't an offer, by the way, but we could theoretically connect at the beginning of the year and say, hey, I'll tell you what.
He saw our
You own
entry.
10.
He's like, absolutely not for you guys.
He goes, this is not an offer. I saw what you did this year. Go on.
Oh, someone that you trust, right? And you could say, hey, you own 10% of all my entries. I own 10% of all your entries.
Yeah.
Now you kind of have 20 bullets at that point, right? You're obviously rooting for yours a little harder because you've got 90% of that as opposed to the 10%, but it is a way to kind of spread things out a little bit. That requires a lot of trust, maybe some paperwork and some signatures and stuff like that.
Sure.
But it's something else to consider. And then just the tools out there. We brought up Survivor Atlas a couple times. Great resource. They do the projections. They've got the grid over there. It doesn't have to be Survivor Atlas. I think they're the best, but having some sort of a toolbox, if you will, to look at things like EV and the projections and the grid and stuff like that, I think is important for sure.
Yeah, cool. All right, so more entries.
Yeah, well, you know what is funny? We did more of that last year than we did this year.
Well, that's because you were picking.
No, last year we had a piece of the degen.
Oh, sure.
and we had a
some
piece.
stuff
We
up,
got
yeah.
a little bit of Survivor Atlas.
Yeah.
But we did not do anything this year. You had a millions entry I had a piece of. We
Yeah.
had way more investment last year than we did this year.
And then it blew up in our face, so we said to hell with that.
Last year was gnarly.
Yeah.
Last year, the carnage. I mean, I don't know if we'll ever see that again. That was absolutely insane.
Week 2 for us last year, Tony.
84% of the field or something.
Yeah. Right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So
It's out of control.
Anyway.
Out of control. Yeah.
All right. A couple fun questions to wrap up. Tony, what was your most painful loss you've taken so far in Circa Survivor?
Oh, goodness. I've actually got 3 for you, so I'll try to get through these quick.
Okay.
But last season is the most recent. That was week 17. Partner entry. I had Colts against the Giants. Everybody, the Giants are probably tanking. The Colts are actually fighting for a playoff spot at that point. I think it was about a 7-point favorite. 2 weeks left to go, and Drew Lock puts up 17 of 23, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns passing, 1 touchdown rushing. So Drew Lock's best game of his career, 5 total touchdowns. We were on the other side of that. And that one just hurt the most because we had gotten the farthest. We were that close to getting there, but it wasn't the most like bad beat type of game.
Yeah.
That I'll share 2 years prior. I had 2 entries left in the final 80. The prize pool was $9.2 million. I took the chalk that week. I took the 2 top selections, which I try not to do, but I did. And my final 2 entries, both of my starting quarterbacks got hurt. Kenny Pickett got hurt for the Steelers on Sunday. But don't worry, because while it sucks to lose that entry, it also took a bunch of entries out, right? So now we go from like 80 down to, I think, 50 or something like that at that point. And I've got a game on Monday Night Football that I feel good about, with 50 people left in Circa Survivor for $9.2 million, guys. Going up against Jake Browning, a backup quarterback. What could go wrong? First play of the game, Christian Kirk, starting receiver for the Jaguars, gets hurt. First offensive play for the Jaguars, at least. Not good, okay? Trevor Lawrence gets hurt in the second half. You got to be kidding me. I lose my starting quarterback. You got to be kidding me. They still get to overtime, fellas. I don't know if you remember this game. They still get to overtime with CJ Beathard, backup quarterback. And in overtime, Beathard throws a bomb. It's caught at the 2-yard line. Let's go. Holding. Bring it back. Jaguars end up losing that game. Jake Browning, 32 of 37, 354 yards, 2 total touchdowns that day.
That's the same Jake Browning, correct, that started for the Bengals this year and was so bad that they brought in Flacco.
Dude.
Yes, yes, it is.
That same dude.
That's the same guy.
If it makes you feel any better, before this year, we went out both years on the Jaguars.
Oh, that's our team of death. This is our lesson here. Don't mess with the Jaguars.
Oh, take the Jaguars.
We did not take them this year.
Nope, we didn't get that far.
We did not make it that far.
And I'll give you one more, guys. My first year in Circa Survivor, 120 people left in for Thanksgiving. And I think I only started like 4 entries that year. And a little context here. So before that game, I hear Derek Stevens on VSIN, and he actually singled out my entry on the radio. I was at the airport at the time, and I'm listening to VSIN, and they're talking about Survivor. And they're like, yeah, I don't know. My entry name at the time was Andy Dufresne. And he's Shawshank Redemption. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie, but yeah. He's like, I don't know who this Andy Dufresne guy is, but he's got all the best teams left. I think if I was power ranking these entries, this is probably the best one left in the field. He's got all, he can select any Thanksgiving. And I got goosebumps. I was like, holy crap. Like, that's probably the moment I became obsessed with Circa Survivor. Like, it became real. I was like, holy crap. Because this was before Atlas and some of that stuff. So, like, I knew my entry was good, but I didn't realize it was that good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I could have picked any team on Thanksgiving. I went with the Cowboys. They were a 6-ish point favorite against the Raiders. Overtime, Raiders end up winning in overtime, taking me out. So that was a rough one too. And then after that loss, I think there was like 34 people left or something like that after that game. So
you've had
that one hurt.
You've had multiple deep runs where you lost your last entry in overtime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yikes.
Yes. 2 of the 3. And then the one that wasn't in overtime was the Drew Lock game in week 17.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legendary.
Heard about it.
Drew effing Lock, as I'll always refer to it from now on.
All right, Tony, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell our audience a little bit about your podcast, Last Men Standing?
Yeah, for sure. So it's Last Men Standing, as you said, and kudos to you guys. A lot of people call it Last Man Standing because that's what it was called last year. I did a little name change.
Okay.
But we tape every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Cool thing about it is it's live. So we get a lot of audience engagement, people asking questions. We've got a really great community over there. My co-host is amazing, Jason Anik. He's got a lot more energy than me, a lot more excitement. So I think the 2 of us work really well together. He's the twin brother of John Anik, if any of you guys know from UFC fame. So his voice will probably sound really familiar to you if you watch the show. But really great guy. We have a lot of fun with it. About an hour-ish show, and then we produce content all week on our Twitter too, over at Last Men Pod. Funny memes and informational, nerdy stuff too, like FYI, only 283 people have this combination of teams left and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I learned a lot from Jason. He learned a lot from me. It's nice to talk these things out during the week and kind of get another perspective. And our audience chimes in, and sometimes I learn things from them as well. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, we've checked out a few of the pods now. I don't think I've ever caught it live. So might have to, I guess I'm probably not gonna this year.
Maybe next year.
But next year, I'm going to turn in live again. Okay, Tony, last question. We ask this of everyone. Have you ever been kicked out of a casino or come close?
I have not. I guess Another question is, have I ever deserved to and not gotten kicked out? I guess that's the closest, like, most exciting thing I can tell you, which isn't very exciting. But I grew up in Connecticut, not too far from like Foxwoods and Mohegan Sun, for like 20, 30 minutes away from there, if that means anything to you guys. And certainly a few times before I was 21. I'm not proud of this, but, you know, with a group of people who are over 21 at the roulette table, stuff like that, and just didn't get caught. So never been kicked out of a casino before, but may have deserved to a time or two.
Fantastic.
But you are saying you have snuck into casinos under the age of 21 and successfully pulled off gambling?
That's a heist.
That's great. I don't know. That's a first on the show.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Very impressive.
All right, Tony, good work. Love the commentary. Love the podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. Folks, you can listen to Tony every week via the Last Men Standing pod. Make sure to check him out. Tony, do you have a Twitter or anything else you want to share as well real quick here?
Yeah, at Last Men Pod is for the podcast, and then mine is Tony's Market Tips on X.
Tony's Market Tips. Check
Fantastic.
them out, okay? All right, that's going to do it for us, folks. We'll be back next week, just the two of us, breaking down the latest in the Mucho Dinero answer key. I'm profitable again. Talking my birthday trip to the boat and YOLOing about our lives as degenerate gamblers. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again soon.